again. It's a rich thing.
Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing fine and well and having a great day. Welcome if you are new. So if anybody watched my last video, you will know exactly what's coming up in today's video. So I've pulled out a couple of my Modelones Polygels. We're going to do a little bit of a lazy girl method today. Super quick, easy and beginner friendly. I didn't end up using this glitter. Very pretty. I wanted some flakies, but I didn't want the thin flyaway Mylar flakies. I wanted some kind of chunkier, like thicker kind of flakies. So I'm using the Modelones soft gel tips. So these are just long coffin. They're pre-etched inside. They've got a nice kind of apex on these, which is perfect for lazy girl method. It's got a nice amount of room in there for the product. So I've got my tips all sized out, and to start with I'm going to be using 017. It's a transparent, but it's got little iridescent ultra fine glitter in there. So for lazy girl method, we're putting our tips on the stand upside down. We're going to be working on them like that. So I've poured some of the Mylar, no it's not Mylar, these are just flakies, into my little dish. And a quick bit of nail prep. I'm just going to push my cuticles back and use the cuticle scraper and scrape away any dead skin. Any dead skin on your nail bed like that will cause lifting, so get rid of as much of that as you possibly can. And then I'm going to use a buffer and just scratch all that natural shine off your nails. So lastly, to prep my nails, I'm going to use the Modelones Dehydrator and Primer Duo, and I'm going to give them a little thin coat of base coat as well. So I'm going to start with my pinky, and I'm going to use that same base coat, and I'm going to base coat the inside of this tip. I'm not going to cure that base coat. I'm going to start putting my little flakies into that wet base coat. I didn't want to completely cover the nail or anything. I just wanted a few sparse bits just down in the bottom half towards the tip, just like that. Not a lot, just a few scattered about. And I'm going to do exactly the same on every single nail. They're all going to be the same. So again, quick base coat and then just scatter a few of those flaky pieces across the bottom half of that nail, and they're all going to get cured in the lamp for 30 seconds just to hold all them flakies in place. So there we go, that's going to go in the lamp now for 30 seconds. So I've done the rest of them off camera. They're all exactly the same. All them flakies have all been cured in place. So going back and starting with the pinky again, I'm going to use the 017 Polygel, which is the transparent with, it's like a little iridescent fine glitter in there. And again, I'm just concentrating on more towards the tip, and then I'm going to fade it off halfway up that nail. Just press the brush into where you want to fade it, and I just kind of smudge it into that tip. It is clear, so it didn't need to be a perfect fade. If it was a colour, you'd need to get that fade seamless, but it's clear, so it was fine. Just smudge it in halfway up that nail. Try and keep it quite thin and as smooth as you can, because that's going to be the underside of your nail tip. So you don't want to have to file under there if it's thick at the end. Try and get it as smooth as you can now with the brush, and keep it nice and thin at that tip area. They've all been cured into place. Every nail is the same. So now this pink is what we're going to use to attach this to the nail. So that clear polygel has been cured. So with the pink, I want to keep this quite thin up at that cuticle area, and I'm going to fade this down over the back of that clear. I didn't want to bring the pink right down. I wanted the tip to still be clear. So again, I've kind of faded the pink halfway down as well. So I'm going to place it really gently to start with onto my nail, and then I like to just press it slightly downwards towards my cuticle area. Don't let any of the polygel touch your skin. Make sure it's nice and flat and fully attached to your nail, and then that's going to get a full 60 seconds cure in the lamp. Super quick and super easy. So again, I think I'll just show you doing one more nail because they're all going to be the same. So nice and thin up at that cuticle area. You don't want it too thin. And again, fade it off down the back of that clear polygel. Make sure you've got this pink right up the sides of that tip, so you've not got any transparent bits at the side. So again, I'm going to press that nice and gently to start with onto my nail, and then press it down, slide it into my cuticle area, and just leave a tiny gap, and then that's going to go in the lamp again for 60 seconds. So I've done the rest of them off camera. That's them all fully attached now, fully cured. That Mylar is beautiful, and I think it matches the little glitters that's inside that clear perfectly. So can you see underneath, the polygel should not be touching your skin, should just be resting on the top of your nail. So I'm just going to clean the underside of these tips with a bit of alcohol. You don't really get any sticky on top. Obviously you've got the nail tip on top, so there's not really any sticky there. And I'm just filing the tips. I like to get my tips deadly straight, and then I just throw my file up and down the sides of the tips. The tips do all the shaping for you, but I think a lot of this is just habit, and I like to go around my cuticle area just to soften the edge of the tip. You can sometimes see the edge of the tip. I like to just soften that and blend it in a little bit more with my cuticle area natural nail. And now I'm just using a buffer, buffing all the shine off those nail tips so we can put some nail art on them. So this is what they're looking like now, all filed and all buff. So you want to give them a really good clean now with a nail brush. Get rid of all that dust so you don't get any bits of dust in your little gel polish designs and stuff that you're going to put on them. Look at that Mylar. These look nice in matte, don't they? Right, so I'm going to put a little bit of Modelones white down on my palette. That's the only colour I'm going to be using. And using a little dotting tool, I'm just going to start with one dot, and then I'm going to put another dot on each side of that, a little bit lower, but I'm going to kind of join the dots up, if that makes sense. And then using an ombre brush, I'm just going to fade that off down the nail. So really light feathery touches, and just kind of pat it and pull it down at the same time as you're patting it. And if you feel like you've got a bit too much gel on your brush, or if you feel like that fade is coming too far down the nail, just use a lint-free wipe. I think you'll see it on the next nail that I do. Just keep hold of a lint-free wipe, and I just keep wiping my ombre brush. I just keep wiping the excess off that brush so that I'm not bringing that fade or too much gel down the nail. You want the clouds to kind of fade off quickly. You don't want them faded off too far down the nail, is what I'm saying. You don't want them too long, or they end up not looking like clouds. So you want that fade to be quite short. So I will just show you a couple more, guys. Every nail is going to be the same pretty much. If you've not got an ombre brush, you could use a sponge. You could just cut a tiny little bit of a sponge and use some tweezers, and just use the sponge and do little pitter patters and fade it off using a little sponge. I did contemplate using a sponge actually, but I had an ombre brush to hand and it was just quicker for me personally. But yeah, you could certainly use a little sponge. Right, so that is all my clouds painted now. They've all been fully cured in the lamp. So using that same dotting tool now, I'm just going to put 2 on some nails. I think I did 3 on other nails. Little dots like that. And then these are going to be little 4-pointed stars. So just use a really skinny brush. Pull a line going up, a line going down, and a line coming out each side of that dot. Super simple. I love a 4-pointed star. I think they just finish nails off perfectly, don't they? So again, every nail's pretty much going to be the same. They've had a full 60 seconds cure in the lamp. So I'm going to go glossy on this set, guys. No fancy rhinestones or nothing, just a glossy top coat, and that'll be this set finished. So there we go guys, that is this set finished. I think this is one of them sets that looks really intricate and quite tricky, when in actual fact it's quite a straightforward, simple, definitely beginner friendly design and very quick and easy. I love how these turned out. I love the kind of yellowy, greeny kind of colour shift you get off that mylar in the different lights. I think it is beautiful. Thanks for watching. Please remember to give the video a quick thumbs up guys, and subscribe if you're not already. Hopefully I'll see you all back in my next one. Take care, bye.